Hey, folks, welcome to Market Intraday Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leaders in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. Today, Tuesday, April 12th, 2011. Well, folks, the markets are getting hammered again today. Dow is down more than 100 points, Nasdaq down 25, S&P 500 down about 11 points on the day. That's just less than 1% across the board. Now, the key today has to be commodities again. I discussed this in yesterday's intraday video. Again, it is the key to why the markets are selling off. All you need to do to figure out why the Dow is down, take a look at Chevron. CVX is the symbol on this. Take a look. Look at that today, folks. This is the reason why the markets were a little on the weaker side yesterday. Today, very much so. Down $3.35, or basically 3.5% on Chevron today as it's getting hammered. Now, the reasons behind this, what's going on? Well, number one, you had Goldman Sachs yesterday telling its clients to move out of oil to take profits. That again sent speculators running for the hills, dumping their oil positions, and that's why we've seen a huge drop. Oil went from $113 3 days ago to a basic 105 and change. Think about that, folks. An $8 drop in spot crude from the last 3 days or so, from the highs basically last Friday, and today is Tuesday. All right, so that's number one. Again, taking a look at Exxon, you can see the massive drop here on Exxon. Look at the drop here, down $2.18, a monstrous drop on ExxonMobil. Now remember, the reason why I'm harping on the oil stocks so much is because Exxon and Chevron are two components out of 30 stocks in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and they have a huge weighting. Market cap-wise, these companies are massive, folks, so they're going to have a major weighting in the Dow. Therefore, when they drop like this, it's going to take the Dow down. I mean, it's just that simple. In addition, the S&P 500, of the 500 stocks making up the S&P, there's a lot of commodity stocks, a lot of oil stocks in that. So when oil is getting crushed like this, that's going to bring those indexes down, S&P down, as well as the Dow Jones Industrial Average, all right? And again, I mean, you could look at anything. Take a look at BTU today, down $2.27, huge drop on Peabody Energy, which is the symbol BTU. Take a look at ConocoPhillips today, down 271, although this is even getting a bounce off the lows today. Today was an unbelievable scalping day in the markets. I have to say that first and foremost. This morning's session, folks, there was basically every minute there was a different trade. It was unbelievable. You guys can follow me on Twitter, by the way, Gareth Soloway. I post a lot of the trades on Twitter after I give them to my members in the chat room. As we're watching some key levels, I'll throw out a couple just for, so you guys can kind of see how it is in the chat room right now. And you can see how many posts there were on Twitter today. Again, follow me at Gareth Soloway. All right. But again, nonetheless, this is all about commodities. Now, what is the reasoning behind it? I mean, we talked about Goldman Sachs. Let me go to the SPY again so we can just see what the market's doing. But focusing on the drop in oil and the drop in commodities, which is broad-based over the last 2 days, you have to say to yourself, okay, so Goldman Sachs says sell. What are the other catalysts to a drop here? Number one, we've been hearing more and more that there is a destruction in demand for oil in the United States and abroad. What do we mean by that? Well, yesterday I discussed in the video how a shock is what's been going on. When oil goes from $90 a barrel to $113 and gasoline at the pump soars above $4 per gallon, that essentially creates a shock effect to the consumer. All of a sudden, let's say last 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago I filled up my gas tank and I paid, I don't know, $60 to fill it up. Now all of a sudden I'm paying 70, 75 bucks. That's a huge difference. All of a sudden I'm saying, wow, now I was just going to go out for dinner tonight. I'm not going out. I was going to buy that big screen TV. You know what? I got to be a little more careful here. I can't do that. It's called demand destruction. I'm going to drive less now. Maybe I'll carpool. Maybe I'll take the bus instead of, driving. All these type of keys make oil demand less. As demand falls, people buy less oil. As people buy less oil, supply grows. Prices have to adjust down. So you have demand destruction. That's one of them. The other thing, which is a very sad event, in Japan, the nuclear crisis got upgraded to a level 7, which is on par with Chernobyl, folks. And again, any way you cut it, this is going to create a massive issue in terms of a recovery there. Economic effects from this are going to be felt for years in Japan and possibly affecting the whole global picture. It is a very, very sad scenario, but it is in a scenario that basically tells us that the Japanese economy is probably going to suffer. They're a huge, they're actually the third largest economy in the world, I believe, and therefore if they suffer, they're not going to consume as much oil, and obviously, as we know, that's going to create an effect on the global oil demand picture as well. So all these little kind of impacts on oil are driving it down. I think a large part of it as well, if we go to the USO here, you can see the USO is coming off the lows of the day, but still pretty, pretty big drop. Look at the last 2 days, by the way. Here's Friday's close up here above $45 per barrel, or $45 on the USO. Today we hit a low of 42. That is a monstrous drop. $3 drop in the USO. You don't see that every day. All right, and again, very, very amazing to see that type of drop. Gold is getting hit. The GLD, take a look, down about 95 cents, although off the lows of the day. The SLV is the one kind of bright spot in the commodities, which is it's basically flat on the day. In fact, it gapped up this morning before selling off and going slightly negative, and now it's creeping back to the flat line. So the SLV, which is silver, is hanging in there while pretty much everything else is getting hammered. Taking a look at other commodity stocks, look at Southern Copper down nicely, although that's come off the lows. U.S. Steel getting hit today, down $1.31. That's a nice drop. If we go to the daily chart, one thing to note on U.S. Steel, the 200 moving average is coming into play right here at around 50 bucks, and 50 is actually a very, very key support on U.S. Steel on the daily chart, so something to watch there as well. AK Steel, we scalped all of these today, guys. Guess what price I called out an alert this morning on AK Steel? I said if it punctures the $15 even number level, look for it around $14.95 to $14.90. Sure enough, right here, basically nailing the lows of the day on that. That was a beautiful trade on AK Steel. Just one of about 20 trades this morning at least that were going on in the markets. And things have slowed down just a little bit. I thought SLB was a little bit of an interesting. We scalped that one for, I think we nailed that one. That jumped about 70 cents on our scalp level, which is a huge gain for a scalp. And you can see this is now coming off the lows. If you want to see the levels of support here, just take a look. I mean, it's really not hard to find. Just first of all, look at this right here. All right, take a note here. Draw a line straight across. And look at that. See that, folks? Is that amazing or what? Right in here. You have a pivot low and gap fill right there. I gave this level out in the intraday stock chat. Right there. Look at the move off of it. How fast it stops at support, reverses to the upside, and it's a beautiful thing right there. So again, the trading is there. I mean, to be honest, a day like today is where you pocket so much money in the first hour. I had traders after 1 hour of trading saying, you know what, I'm taking the rest of the day off because I made so much money. And that's what you got to do. When the trades are there, you take advantage of them. When the market is slow, you sit on the sidelines and watch and only take the select few trades a day. Sometimes you'll trade 1, 2, 3 times a day. Sometimes you'll trade 20 times a day. But the key is the discipline to know when it's a good trade and when it's a bad trade, and to stay out of the bad ones and not force trades. All right, in any case, let's go to the dollar today. The dollar is slightly lower on the day, although off the lows of the day here. If we go to the intraday, you can see it opened down here, surged back up, then has come back in. This is why commodities are getting a small bid in the afternoon session. We talked about gold and silver and oil coming off their lows a little bit. And that's because the dollar has fallen back down just a little bit. But in any case, dollar is down today, and you're seeing commodities down. And that's the commodities, again, are dropping because of Japan, because of Goldman Sachs' call there, and also because of, obviously, the demand destruction based on commodity prices for the demand of these commodities as things have gone up so drastically. So it's multifaceted here today, multiple things going on. Great trading day across the board. We want to keep an eye on things. Let's take a look at, we talked about the GLD, we talked about the SLV, we talked about USO, which is oil, the dollar. Let's take a look at a few different stocks. Obviously, Chevron. By the way, guys, I had Chevron short with the Research Center. If you're a Research Center member, nice job on this. Moving at it around 104 even number. Not a huge gain there, about $1.50 or so in the profit zone, but you'll take it at this point as it was a nice fall the last few days on Chevron on the short side. And again, covering at 104 even number there today. A couple other thoughts here. As we continue to see drops in some of these commodity stocks, you have to start paying attention to the charts on the daily. And this is where we're going to get into more Research Center stuff, so I'm not going to go hardcore into this. I want you guys to really join. Take the free trial of the Research Center, folks. It's a 1-week free trial. You'll get access to everything. Take the chat room 1-week free trial. It's there for the taking for those of you that haven't tried it yet. All right, so I encourage you to do that. But again, you have to start paying attention to the daily charts, because as you come into certain levels here on the daily, you're going to start hitting master levels that are going to be long opportunities. ExxonMobil piercing 2 moving averages, coming down to this little pivot low. Look at this. See this little pivot low right there? Look at the low of the day. You got to know those levels. When is it going to be a good time to go long some stocks? Well, certain stocks could be very close. I happen to think U.S. Steel is very close at the 200 moving average down here. There's going to be a good support level. And then, believe it or not, just below that, I'm just looking at the chart and doing this live with you guys, there's going to be another nice little gap fill right down here. This is number 1. Here's your first level, and here's your second level. Right in this area, there's going to be a lot of support on U.S. Steel. And again, it's been interesting to see how commodity prices have rallied so tremendously, but stocks like U.S. Steel, AK Steel, really haven't done anything but go sideways to lower over the last couple months. All right, Southern Copper is also interesting. Let's take a look at Southern Copper Daily. Yeah, Southern Copper Daily, it's interesting. You pierced this little level. I actually gave out this level as a buy today in the intraday stock chat. One of just the many, many positive trades that were out there. And look at the bounce off of that already. And this is on the daily chart, so it doesn't look that big. But if you go to the intraday, it looks much, much bigger. Look at this. This was the level right down here. Pierced that level, and look at the move up. I mean, it looks much bigger on that. And as a scalping opportunity, it is very, very big. I mean, anytime you get 60, 70 cents, which is what it's up off the lows here, that's a huge move intraday on any stock. All right, looking across the board, if there's anything else I want to pay attention to here, solar stocks are a little bit weaker, but not really that weak. I have to say, I'm impressed with solar stocks today, only because with oil getting crushed, you would expect solar like FSLR to be down more than just 55 cents. It has been hit over the last week or two, which is part of the reason probably why it's not seeing much more downside. I still think to be safe, you want to see FSLR hit the 200, which is also gap fill right here, and then that might be an interesting area for a possible long play. So just keep an eye on that. I think that's definitely something I'm going to keep an eye on myself. Financials are weaker today, but not down that much. JP Morgan's down 18 cents. Goldman's down $1. Again, the weakness today is in commodities. No doubt about it. Technology, Apple Computer, for the first time in a long time, bucking the trend. So we talked about this, how weak it's been over the last 2-3 weeks. It's finally looking a little stronger today. Markets are down. Apple Computer is slightly up. It seems like a lot of money was going out of Apple and into commodity stocks. Now money is running from commodities back into maybe Apple. Some people are saying, all right, it looks cheap now. I'm not sure if I believe that it's that cheap at this point. I still think it's probably got to go to the 200 moving average before I get super interested in a swing trade on the long side. All right. Anything else? No, I think that's about it for now, folks. Again, I encourage you to come join the Research Center, join the Intraday Stock Chat. There's a free trial offered. You want to take that, folks. And again, make sure you're involved and, make use of it. Have a great afternoon, great evening. I'll see you in the Research Center this evening for the nightly video. Take care.